For years, Skinwalker Ranch has kept its darkest secrets hidden, until now. Dr. Travis Taylor spent weeks chasing the truth behind unexplainable events, and what he uncovered is terrifying. Locked away, encrypted, buried beneath layers of silence, the evidence is finally coming to light. Are you ready to see what's really out there? Behind the curtains. Travis Taylor didn't just show up on The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch as a TV personality. Long before the cameras ever turned toward him, he had already lived a full life as a scientist, engineer, and researcher. His story starts early, much earlier than most people realize. Travis Shane Taylor was born in Decatur, Alabama, in 1968. He grew up in North Alabama, where science wasn't just something he read about, it was something he touched, took apart, and rebuilt. His father worked as a machinist for a company that helped NASA during the space race, so Travis grew up hearing real stories about rockets and engineering. That world fascinated him. As a kid, he took apart radios and other electronics to see how they worked. And by the time he was a teenager, he was already dreaming about space technology. Everything changed when his family moved to Somerville, near Huntsville. Travis was still in high school when he built a working radio telescope in his backyard with the help of a neighbor. That telescope won the state science fair and caught the attention of the U.S. Army. They offered him a job at Redstone Arsenal straight out of high school, plus a scholarship. Travis was only 17, and he had already stepped into a world most people never reach. From that point on, his education and work life became a long chain of scientific milestones. He earned degree after degree, including electrical engineering, physics, optical science, aerospace systems engineering, astronomy, and later a second PhD in aerospace engineering. By the mid-2000s, he had already spent more than 16 years working on high-level research projects for the Department of Defense and NASA. His work touched advanced propulsion systems, space telescopes, high-energy lasers, and new types of space launch technology. Travis was also involved in intelligence studies, everything from imagery and signals intelligence to more specialized research in measurement and signature analysis. Years later, he even became the chief scientist for the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, the government group responsible for studying unexplained aerial sightings. But Travis wasn't only a scientist buried in lab reports. He had a creative side too. After complaining to his wife about the lack of good hard science fiction, she challenged him to write his own. And he did. His first book came out in 2004, and by 2020, he had written 14 science fiction novels, along with technical papers and 2 textbooks. His imagination was just as active as his scientific mind. Television found him, almost by accident. Producers were searching for experts on space warfare and came across his name. That led to appearances on The Universe, Life After People, and When Aliens Attack. Viewers liked him. He spoke with energy, humor, and real passion. Then came Rocket City Rednecks, the show that made him a familiar face to millions. Filmed on his family's property in Alabama, the series followed Travis and his relatives, most of them machinists and inventors, as they built all kinds of backyard science projects. Travis called himself a redneck rocket scientist, and the show leaned into that idea. Serious science mixed with Alabama-style ingenuity. It ran for 2 seasons and brought a new audience into his world. From there, Travis showed up on all kinds of science and mystery shows: Ancient Aliens, The Tesla Files, The Curse of Oak Island, In Search of Monsters, NASA's Unexplained Files, and many others. By the time The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch began, he wasn't just another scientist. He was already well known for his work, his curiosity, and his no-nonsense approach to strange events. When he joined the ranch team with principal investigator Eric Bard, he wasn't there to act out stories or chase shadows. He stepped onto one of the most mysterious properties in America with one goal: to look at the strange activity through real experiments, real measurements, and real science. Away from the cameras, Travis still keeps to a simple, quiet life in Summerville, Alabama, with his wife and their 2 children. And as his journey on the ranch unfolded, the way he approached its puzzles became the foundation for everything that would come next. Dawn of the unknown. When Travis Taylor first arrived at Skinwalker Ranch, he didn't come in as a TV star. He came in as a scientist who wanted answers. The ranch, deep in Utah, stretched across more than 5 acres. It was a quiet piece of land on the surface, but people had whispered about it for years. Strange lights, animals acting in ways no one could explain, instruments that gave readings no textbook could account for. The owner had gathered a full investigation team, scientists, engineers, and technical specialists. Their goal was simple on paper: figure out what was really happening on this land. And that's why Travis was invited. He brought decades of experience and a methodical approach. He wasn't there to chase legends. He was there to measure, test, and prove. Travis immediately set to work. He placed sensors across the property, radiation detectors, ground-penetrating radar, and imaging devices. He marked out zones where past activity had been strongest and set up equipment to watch those areas day and night. He studied every change in temperature, every spike in the readings, and every odd signal that appeared on his screens. He logged exact times, compared feeds, and built careful timelines. It wasn't for show. It was the kind of work a scientist does in and out. Isolated field lab, far from comfort. And speaking of comfort, he didn't have much. Instead of staying in a hotel or driving home each night, Travis lived in a small camper trailer right on the ranch for months. That gave him the ability to respond instantly whenever something happened, even in the middle of the night. It also meant he was sleeping only a few steps away from places known for strange energy activity. It was a demanding routine, but he accepted it because the data mattered. One place that pulled him back again and again was the ridge. This ridge was more than a high point on the land. It was a kind of hotspot. Earlier investigators had seen odd readings there, and the team believed it could be central to understanding the ranch's bigger mysteries. Travis walked that ridge day after day. On breaks, he'd return to it. He moved equipment up and down the slope. He ran tests at different heights, in different weather, and at different times of day. Over time, he learned the terrain almost like a second home. He knew where signals rose, where they dropped, and where the strangest readings appeared without warning. But the work wasn't without danger. Some sensors suggested that certain areas might have unusual radiation levels. Other experiments required high-powered systems that demanded careful handling. Travis and the rest of the team followed strict safety rules because they understood that whatever was happening here wasn't just unusual. It could be harmful if they weren't careful. Even then, he accepted the risk because he believed that investigating properly meant being present on the front line. Through all of this, one thing stayed constant: his commitment to real science. Travis wanted hard data, numbers, measurements, patterns. He wasn't interested in speculation. He reached out to experts at the University of Alabama in Huntsville, his alma mater, and brought them into the process. Together, they designed experiments that could stand up to scientific review. He knew that to understand something as strange as unexplained electromagnetic fields, he needed the sharpest engineers and the strongest tools. By staying on the ranch, sleeping beside the equipment, and working through unpredictable events, he pushed the investigation deeper than ever before. Every reading he captured, every spike he recorded, became part of a growing foundation, evidence that could one day unlock real explanations. Even though Skinwalker Ranch had a long history of bizarre stories, Travis believed something important. Strange events don't automatically mean supernatural causes. With enough time, data, and persistence, even the weirdest moments might reveal real physical laws behind them. Thanks to his work, the team could design stronger tests, run more advanced experiments, and follow a clearer path toward uncovering the secrets of the ranch. Piece by piece, science began to illuminate a place that had been shrouded in mystery for generations. Yet the challenges he faced were relentless, testing both his skills and his resolve at every turn. The edge of struggle. After weeks of staying out on Skinwalker Ranch, Travis started noticing the place getting to him in ways he never saw coming. At first, he treated the ranch like any other remote research site, quiet, isolated, and unpredictable. But as time went on, he learned that this place had its own personality, its own mood, and living there full-time brought challenges he had never faced in his scientific career. The first challenge was the isolation. His camper trailer sat in the middle of a huge landscape, surrounded by open fields and silent ridges. At night, the darkness felt deeper than normal. There were no streetlights, no noise from passing cars, just wind, distant animal sounds, and the feeling that the ranch was watching. He often worked alone in the early hours of the morning, checking equipment with only a headlamp. Even for someone used to field research, the quiet could feel heavy. Then there were the physical demands. The weather changed fast. Some days were extremely hot, making long hikes to the ridge exhausting. Other days, the wind was sharp and cold, forcing him to hold equipment steady while dust blew across the yard. His trailer wasn't built for comfort. The nights were cold, the space was tight, and sleep was often interrupted by sudden alerts from his sensors. Being tired was normal. Being drained was expected. Working conditions were also intense. The team's equipment required constant maintenance. Sensors failed without warning. Cameras went offline. Batteries drained faster than they should have. Sometimes they set up a device perfectly, only for it to stop working the moment something unusual happened. This frustration made every successful reading feel like a small victory. But the biggest challenges came from the ranch itself, the strange events that didn't follow any pattern. Some nights, the sensors spiked for no reason. Other times, the team felt pressure changes, heard odd sounds, or saw drones malfunction in midair. These moments made the work harder because Travis had to separate real scientific data from the background noise of the ranch's unpredictable environment. There were health concerns too. The team knew that unusual radiation spikes had been detected around the property. Travis had seen radiation sensors jump suddenly, which forced him to take extra precautions. He wore protective gear during certain tests. He kept medical checks in mind. He stayed aware of every signal that crossed the safety line. Living so close to potentially dangerous areas meant he had to be alert every minute. Even emotionally, the ranch weighed on him. Being away from his family for long stretches wasn't easy. His wife and children were back in Alabama, while he was sleeping in a trailer in the middle of a mysterious landscape. Every phone call home reminded him that he was placing himself in a risky situation for the sake of information. It was a sacrifice he accepted, but it added pressure to the long days and long nights. Despite all this, Travis stayed focused. His goal never changed. He wanted real answers based on measurements, not fear or rumor. So he pushed through the isolation, the fatigue, the equipment problems, and the strange moments that defied simple explanation. Each challenge became part of his process. Every setback made him refine his tests. Every unexplained reading pushed him deeper into the mystery. Over time, the ranch started giving up tiny clues, strange signals, repeating patterns, and sudden bursts of energy that seemed to come from somewhere deep below the ground. Little by little, these signs built a trail he couldn't ignore. Eventually, Travis reached his first real breakthrough, a discovery that pushed the investigation into a completely new direction and opened the door to what came next. Unlocking the secret. The first breakthrough on the ranch didn't happen during a quiet night or a careful measurement. It happened in the middle of a loud, risky experiment, one that the team hoped would finally catch something they could see with their own eyes. To push the investigation forward, Travis and the team planned a rocket experiment over an area called the Triangle, a zone where strange signals and strange readings had been recorded again and again. They wanted more than numbers this time. They wanted visual proof. So they prepared rockets, each one fitted with a high-speed camera capable of taking hundreds of pictures every second. The goal was simple: launch the rockets straight through the triangle and see if anything unusual showed up in the footage. When the time came, the team stood ready. The sky was clear, the winds were calm, and the equipment was locked into place. Travis gave the go-ahead. The rocket blasted upward, trailing smoke as it cut across the ranch's open air. Then, without warning, it exploded. At first, everyone thought it was a normal malfunction, an engine failure, a damaged tube, or a mix-up in the fuel line. Rockets fail. It happens. Still, the timing felt strange. The blast happened at a low altitude, far lower than expected, only 31 feet above the ground, right inside the triangle's most active zone. The team collected the wreckage and returned to the command center to study the footage. No one expected anything unusual. They were simply reviewing the material as part of standard procedure. But when Travis slowed down the footage frame by frame, something caught his eye. There, right at the moment of the explosion, was a cloudy, blob-like shape, an anomaly hovering exactly where the rocket tore apart. It wasn't smoke from the engine. It wasn't a shadow. It wasn't a camera glitch. It was something with shape, form, and presence captured in high-speed images at the exact second the rocket passed through it. This was the breakthrough he had been waiting for. For the first time, the team had clear visual evidence of something strange happening low to the ground, not high in the sky, not far away, but right there in the middle of the ranch. The anomaly appeared to interact with the rocket, almost as if the rocket had collided with something invisible. Travis replayed the footage over and over, studying the shape, the timing, the angle of the blast. He knew what normal rocket failures looked like. This wasn't one. The anomaly showed up in multiple frames, matching none of the patterns he had seen in his years of engineering and testing. This moment shifted the entire course of the investigation. The team finally had proof, something concrete they could study, measure, and document. Travis had captured a fragment of the ranch's mystery on camera, revealing an unseen presence hovering just 31 feet above the ground. The discovery hinted at even more hidden forces lurking in the space around them. The team's reaction to what they saw was immediate and intense, setting the stage for what was about to unfold. Stunned silence. The moment Travis first showed the footage to the team, the room went completely silent. Every eye was fixed on the screen, replaying the frames over and over. There it was, the blob-like anomaly, hovering low to the ground, right at the point where the rocket had exploded. It was unmistakable. For months, the team had dealt with strange readings, odd lights, and sensor spikes, but visual proof like this was something entirely different. Excitement and tension swept through the group. On one hand, they were thrilled. After all these years of chasing rumors and unexplained data, the ranch had finally tangibly revealed itself. They had proof, something real, something they could analyze. On the other hand, a quiet unease settled over them. If this anomaly could appear suddenly, interact with a rocket, and vanish without warning, what else might the ranch be capable of? The days that followed were a delicate balance between curiosity and caution. Cameras and sensors were redeployed, all focused on the triangle, while Travis meticulously logged each reading and synchronized it with the footage. Every alert from a sensor, every unexplained spike, now carried a weight it hadn't before. No longer was it just numbers on a screen. They were observing something with presence, something unpredictable. The dangers became tangible quickly. Equipment began to fail in strange ways. A high-powered camera rig toppled over one night for no apparent reason, narrowly missing a crew member. Rockets that had always flown straight now curved, exploded early, or behaved in ways that defied expectation. Sensors recorded bursts of energy in areas where no source should exist. Even small tasks became risky. Moving equipment or walking the ridge after dark required constant vigilance. The psychological strain grew as well. The nights were long and quiet, broken only by the occasional alert or sudden, inexplicable light. Shadows seemed to move differently. Sounds came from directions that made no sense. The team had to maintain focus while knowing that the ranch could surprise them at any moment. Travis understood the pressure, but reminded everyone that their mission depended on careful observation, not panic. Safety protocols became stricter than ever. Protective gear was worn during high-risk tests. Safety zones were clearly marked. Redundant systems were put in place to prevent accidents. Travis insisted on double and triple checking every setup, aware that their curiosity carried real risk. Yet he also knew that fear could not stop them. The anomaly they had captured was proof that the ranch held secrets worth pursuing. Through exhaustion, uncertainty, and constant vigilance, the team pressed forward. Every piece of data, every frame of video became part of a larger puzzle. The anomaly had proven that the ranch was capable of revealing phenomena in ways they had never imagined. They had stepped into the unknown and found that it was real. From that moment on, every step on the triangle, every experiment along the ridge carried the weight of that first discovery. The ranch was no longer just a collection of strange reports. It was a living, reactive environment, beautiful, mysterious, and dangerous. The team knew that whatever came next would test their skills, their courage, and their understanding of what science could measure. And in that tension between discovery and danger, the story of Skinwalker Ranch was only just beginning.